Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
Guys, welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. In this episode, we're going to have my buddy Mark Olis from Moultrie come on and talk all about Moultrie Mobile. Dude, I'm excited for this one because I've been using Moultries for a very long time. And, when I decided to reach out to them about partnering up and stuff, I had a feeling it was going to be a really good fit. And, dude, it has been great. So we're going to cover everything that's new about Moultrie. We're going to cover the history of it. And, we're going to get to know Mark better. So before we do that, we got to get into the, obviously, the partners. So I'm going to run through all of these for everybody that normally knows how this goes. All of the promo codes and links and all that stuff, they're in the description. So promo codes to save you some money. Links to the websites for all the partners, and so make sure to go support these guys. They are some of the most, I guess, integral or crucial people that provide the products and stuff that we all use, stuff that I use, and things that I stand behind and believe in. So let's get it started. We got Osseo gear. That late season stuff for me has been working great, man. It's gotten a lot colder in Georgia, and throwing on my late season Wrap X, dude, it's fantastic. So if you want to, I guess, up your camo game, head over to Osseo. Check out what they got for you. Let's see. Next up is Summit. Dude, I've got some plans. I've been using a climber for a very long time, and I think next year I'm going to go full mobile with a hang-on. So I'm going to be looking at the Summit dual axis hang-on is kind of the plan. And, Summit makes a great product. I'm very excited to be, fully up in a hang-on stand. And I actually have some episodes planned to sort of go over what I'm planning on doing when it comes down to my setup switch. And probably going to be doing a lot of the, hunting lower, more mobile with more back cover and just cover on deer trails, kind of like what Cody DeQuisto does. I've talked about it a few times on the podcast. So Summit definitely makes stuff that you can do that with. They make, like I said before, climbers and everything else. So head over to Summit Stands, check out what they've got. Let's see. Next up is Boutique. Dude, best air wraps in the game. It's easy as that. Bergie Bowsmith. He's a bow wizard. He's also a dealer for a lot of the major brands we use. G5 Outdoors. I've got my, speaking of Summit, they just tagged me in their story. G5 Outdoors. I've got my mega meats completely filled up in my quiver, ready to send it through another deer. Done a couple sits, and I haven't really seen anything. It's kind of been a weird weather system we have right now. But I have animals showing back up, or I have deer showing back up at one of my favorite spots. So really feeling confident that a mega meat's going to get to eat again. And G5 makes the best broadheads in the market by far, in my opinion. So head over there, check out what they have, and be on the lookout for some new stuff. Next up is going to be Prime Archery. I'm still shooting a Form 34. I have plans to get a Divide 33. I was going to go with the 31, but I think I'm going to run the 33 because I've got an out-of-state whitetail hunt planned for next year, and I don't really want a bow that's too big, but I don't want a bow that's too small either. And then in 2027, I'm going to Colorado on a mule deer hunt, so I want something that's going to be stable. So I feel like the 33 is the perfect size to cover all those bases. Prime's got that new Divide. It is an amazing bow. It comes in 4 different sizes with two different brace height options, tons of different camo options, and the speed mods. So Prime's knocking it out of the park. Let's see. Next up is Dialed Archery. If you haven't checked out the new, I can't remember what it's called now. The Mag 3V1A, I think is what it's called. It's basically the same design as what you get with the regular single pin mags from Dialed, except you can adjust the pins now. So that's pretty sick. I don't know if I'm going to run those because I like a more simplistic design where I don't have to really adjust anything. I just have the 3 pins and you figure out where they're at, put a sight tape on, and you're good to go. That's my style, but Dialed makes a great sight, so I really highly recommend that to everybody listening. Obviously, Moultrie, we're going to do the episode on that. Bow Hunting League. Everybody's rocking and rolling, man. It's been a crazy season for the Bow Hunting League right now. I finally was able to add in a buck there for the first time in 3 years, so that's nice. He was a 3-point spike, basically. Talked about him on last week's episode. But the thing with the Bow Hunting League, if you guys want to be state sponsors, like I am, like my buddy Adam is, go onto the Bow Hunting League site go click the state sponsor link. And if you have any type of hunting social media, any type of YouTube, any type of podcast, if you're a processor, a taxidermist, archery shop, doesn't matter. You can go on there and you can become a state sponsor for only $100 a year, and it opens up a ton of perks for you. It gets a lot of exposure for you. Your name will be on your company name will be on the shirt that everybody gets when they kill a buck for your respective state. So if you do that, if you want to do that, tell them we sent you. Very excited to see what comes out of the bow hunting league next year. Next up is boning archery. Still using the alpha veins, love them. 1227 Productions, that's Brock's YouTube channel. Make sure to go subscribe. Scrape Doctor, that is my scrape scent that I've been using now this past season, and dude, it's been working great. It really, really has. I definitely have nothing bad to say about that. Next up and last is Victory Archery. So I'm running the HLRs this year. They do have an entire new lineup. I probably should do my research. I do plan on getting Jason from Victory over on the podcast here in the next couple of months, and we're going to cover everything. So very excited to do that. Very thankful for all these partners, and very thankful for you guys listening. Please make sure to like and subscribe on the YouTube page. Leave us a comment, interact with it, man. Go on the social medias and just blow it up. I don't mind. I love getting to interact with you guys. So before we get into it with Mark, got to talk to you guys about the most important thing, Jesus Christ. I do it every episode. Some of you new listeners, maybe, you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear this. Don't skip it, because what Jesus is capable of doing is he can do the impossible, right? He can take somebody that is addicted to drugs or nicotine or alcohol or adult stuff, and he'll set you free. All you have to do is believe in him and put your faith in him and ask him to be your Lord and Savior. I mean, that he died on the cross for all of us. And so I think it's only fair that we do our best to live our lives for him. He's changed my life. Those of you that know me well, you know that there's been a huge change. Those of you that don't know me well, I'll give you a little hint. I like to drink a little bit too much. And I don't mean to the point where I was an alcoholic, but there were some opportunities that happened a few years ago that I could have capitalized on. I didn't, all because of drinking. And, Jesus set me free from that. And there's still daily struggles. There's still plenty of things that I have to go through every single day. Temptation is never going to leave you, but when you have Christ, you can fight that temptation and win. So those of you that are struggling, give it over to Jesus and see what he'll do. You'll be surprised. But yeah, that's everything. Mark is waiting on us. I'm very excited about this. Let's get started with Mark Olis from Moultrie. As you read in the title, we got my buddy Mark Olis here from Moultrie Mobile. Been a long time coming, honestly. I think we started working together back in the summer, right? Something, or maybe before the summertime. And I just got to say, dude, these cameras are awesome. I don't know what you guys have done, what kind of fairy dust you're putting in these things, but I love them. And I know a lot of my buddies love them too. I got a good buddy of mine actually just put his Edge 3s out like 2 weeks ago, and he's constantly sending me photos. He loves it too. So like I said, whatever y'all are doing, keep it up.
We'll do it. We'll keep it up, and we'll keep making it better too.
Yeah, dude. Well, and the thing that I thought was cool, so like I want to get into kind of your background and how you got to where you're at with Moultrie and sort of the journey there. But the one thing that really sort of got me hyped was I started seeing, because I've been using Moultries on and off for the past 5 years, right? I still have, you know what? I'm going to look because I don't want to say the wrong model, but one of my cameras I'm still using is from like 2020 or 2019, and it still works flawlessly, which says a lot to me, because these days you buy something and then the camera just stops working, or not the camera, but like the product will stop working or something will stop working after like a year because they want you to upgrade, And gosh, what is this model? The XA6000.
Oh yeah, man. That's the X series. That was our very first all-in-one camera where, before that, we had the modems that you could hook to your old SD Moultrie cameras and make them a cellular camera, which was really good because there was just millions of those Moultrie SD cameras out there. So we started with that. And then that X series was our first one that was where everything was all in one. It was no longer a camera and a modem. it was all a one unit. And those are tanks, man. I mean, they are unbelievable. I've actually got a couple that, you know, I ended up pulling out of the field just to get the updated version of the edges on there with the new features and all. But man, those cameras were just rocking and rolling still.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing in that camera I wish I had was on-demand photos. Other than
Yeah.
that, it works so well. So I mean, I probably could pull up photos from 2020 that have deer on it that I'm not even hunting anymore. That it's still, that camera was taking those photos, and it's just a testament to me when someone asks, "Hey, what camera should I use?" and I tell them Moultrie, they're like, "Oh, well, they came out with these new cameras. What's different from that?" I'm like, it's not so much what's fully different from that, but the fact that the product is going to last you, because I have one that's 5, 6 years old and it still works great.
That's
So
right.
I'm that's big for me, man. A company that makes a product that actually lasts means more to me than, like, some of the flashy, extra whatever it is, pixel thing on a camera. So
Well, and that's the approach here, right? So Moultrie, the thing we are first is customer focused. I mean, if you were inside these walls, it's on, screens. It's always talked about. It's always customer focused. That's the first thing, right? And in doing that, a customer wants a product that's easy to use and that just works. And
yeah,
that's what originally started us down the Edge series line. We didn't just throw in new components, new technologies. It's like, how can we from the ground up build a camera that is easy to use and works? And if you can do those things, then you are taking care of your customer. And then if you do have an issue, we have got a large customer service team,
mhm,
US based, 7 days a week, that are here to help you. Because a lot of guys, myself included, we're weekend hunters, right?
yeah,
So when do you find a problem? When you're at the hunt camp, or when
yeah.
you're messing with a camera when you're hunting. So we've got folks in season available, 7 days a week, and that's where everything starts, is with the customer.
Yeah, well, and you can see it too, like in the I think it's the field team group. I remember a couple of weeks ago there was some type of network issue that was going on, or something was going on, right? That had nothing to do with Moultrie, but I guess it was the
Right.
system we used. And there's gonna be those people that are like, "Oh, I'm not using these anymore," blah blah blah, and whatever, man. Like, clearly you guys are doing everything you can to fix it. And I texted you and I'm like, "Hey, do you maybe know what's going on with the system? Because, like, it's not doing what it normally does." And you're like, "Yeah, man, we're aware of it. We're working on it. It'll be fixed." And it was fixed in a couple hours. So I
Right.
mean, the customer service is huge for me. Like, I'm in the customer service business. I have to deal with it every single day. And I mean, yesterday, man, I could go into so much detail about customer service with what I had to do at work. It was insane. I got asked the same question about 20 times and gave the same answer about 20 times. And eventually was like, "Look, I don't know," because it just became so repetitive. And they're going to get their answers, from their people, right? Like, I'm just the face of it. But
Right.
yeah, man, the customer service side, I love that. And I've seen posts in the team group, if you guys have any problems, call the customer service, because they'll do everything they can to get you taken care of. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
and I
crucial.
do I do the same thing. Because obviously the field team, friends, folks in the industry, I've worked with them with Moultrie, and yeah, they'll hit me up or shoot me a text, and I'm like, look, I want to help you, but I'm not the guy that knows the ins and out. Like,
Yeah.
we have dedicated, trained people that are awesome, that actually know what's going on. They can look at logs on the back end. They're the folks that can help you. I'm the marketing guy, so
Mhm.
I'm not the tech guy on this end and all that. So I do, and that's what I always tell them. I'm like, look, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just there's someone that's really qualified to do this, and it's not me.
Yeah. So and we're gonna get in. Like I said, I want to hear how you got to where you're at, but I do have one question. What is it like working with the Seek One guys? Because when I saw that, it was around, I think, the time that y'all came on board with the podcast, and I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm like, what's up, teammates? How y'all doing? Like, it was pretty cool to see that. I mean, what's the interaction with those guys been like?
Those guys are great, man. The Seek One guys, all of them have just been awesome. I mean, obviously, their following and dedication to what they do is I mean, it's second to none.
Yeah.
And they're Drew and Lee and those guys they've just been great to work with. And not only that, they're straight shooters too. So they use our product and they use it a lot. And they say things, they're like, hey, here's a suggestion, here's something, here's what I noticed. So they're really good about all of that stuff as well. But those guys are just, I mean, they're a tremendous partner, and they're just, and that's who Moultrie, that's who we partner with. We don't partner with everyone. It's like-minded people. It's hunters, and those guys are just solid guys. They really they care about folks, and you know I don't know how much everyone knows, but like, man, they've got the big venison donation program that they do. And
Mhm.
I was talking with one of their guys yesterday, Alex, on the phone, and I think last year alone that through their program they donated over 25,000 pounds of deer meat, and
Yeah.
those go to food banks, food insecure areas, families. I mean, that's huge. That's a long
Mhm.
way, and at the same time it's managing the herd, especially in those suburban areas and things like that. So it's yeah, those guys they're great. They're awesome.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, my local taxidermist processor does a lot of their like doe donation stuff. So yeah, I remember seeing all the deer that were up there, and I was like, Chip, how are you? I was like, you got the time for this, man? And he was like, no, but I'm gonna find it. I was like, all right, dude, whatever. And apparently he got it done. So it's just
Uh,
cool to see, like, guys that I grew up. I didn't grow up with them, but I grew up 20 minutes from where they're at.
yeah,
And they were very, very influential on like my hunting journey and stuff, especially once I realized, oh, you can bow hunt in people's backyards. Dude,
yeah,
no wonder that, I mean, there's some giant bucks over in these places. I grew up where they were hunting. I had no idea. So it was pretty cool. But
yeah.
all right. I want to hear about you, man. So take me from, I guess, get me to where you're at now. How did you get to where you're at now with Moultrie? What was that journey like?
Well, I guess to really, I guess I'd have to backtrack to the beginning, really, to get to how I'm here. I grew up a hunter. Grew up in the Birmingham area, Alabama. Grew up deer hunting, turkey hunting in Alabama, small game, all that stuff. It's just, it's in my blood. I love it. Can't get enough of it. And going through high school, I was a very average student, didn't know what I wanted to do, graduate high school, things like that. And, as you're a young person, you're thinking, what am I going to do for my career? And again, I didn't know. And frankly, I took some time off after graduating high school and just worked. And back when I was young, I always worked, hard jobs, construction, landscaping, in warehouses. I used my back, not my brain, so to speak. And, when you're a young man, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But, in doing that, in taking that time off, not really going to school, college, or anything like that right after graduating, it kind of helped form, like, what do I want to do? And I knew I wanted to do something more. And man, if I could, how could I, like, dovetail that with hunting or the outdoors? So my mind was always going, and strangely enough, I kind of got into photography, and I got into photography because just when you go hunting, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone listening, like, you just see so much cool stuff in the woods. Like, I mean, it could be a raccoon crossing a creek on a log. And it's like, I just was like, man, so many people that don't come out here don't get to see this. I was like, what if I could capture it? Like, so I got into photography, like, more from like wildlife photography. And then I started taking classes at a junior college. kind of started getting going on that. Still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I ended up. It's funny enough. My diploma back here is from Auburn. I know you're there in Georgia, so don't hate on me.
Hey, I'm not big on the college football stuff. If it ain't deer hunting or racing, I don't really pay much
Yeah, no.
so,
So I was actually in a hunting camp down near Auburn, and the hunting was phenomenal. So I'd gotten in there when I was like a senior in high school. So I was going down there. I kind of started falling in love with the area of the town. I was like, man, what if I like went to school here and I could be hunting a lot.
yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I went to Southern Union, which is the community college down there. Started working with an advisor at Auburn, busted my tail, got to where I could get into Auburn, and still didn't know what I wanted to do. But when I was in community college, you got to take English 101, 102. And I had this professor. I'd never had a professor like her. And, we had to write, essays, things like that. And I went up to her when she assigned us our first one. She's like, I want you to write it on, whatever you're passionate about. I want you to really care about this. And I was like, well, surely she doesn't mean hunting. What professor would say that?
Right.
And so I went up to her kind of sheepishly after that class. And I was like, professor, you said we could write about anything. Can I write about like hunting and fishing? And she's like, oh, absolutely. She said, my husband and son are big hunters. And I was like, oh my gosh. So anyways, I started writing those essays in her class on hunting. And I was like, wow, I guess I found something I was passionate about, and started finding this direction. And you couple that with doing the photography. And I was like, man, I could be like an outdoor writer or an editor or something like that. And so, this plan just started forming. I got into Auburn. I went to Auburn's journalism school. And at the time, they weren't accepting any new students. The program was full. And, and it's funny, man, it's all these doors had to open for all this to happen. None of this was like back then, it was a dream. I really didn't think it would happen, but I just kept going and working. And, I talked to that professor at Auburn and I said, what can I do? Like, how can I prove that I belong here? I understand your doors are closed, but surely there's a way I could earn my way or something like that. And she said, I'll tell you what. She said, why don't you write me a 500-word essay why we should accept you into this program? I said, deal. I said, I think this was like a Thursday. I said, when do you need it? She said, can you have it here next week? I was like, I'll have it to you Monday. And so I went and I started working, and that's where I kind of like formed the plan and said, I want to go into outdoor writing. I want to be an editor. I want to write about hunting. I want to write magazine articles and all that. And I think Auburn's journalism program could teach me the skills to do that, because I was not a writer. I mean, if you would have talked to my high school English teachers and you would have said Mark Olis is a journalism major, they would have laughed. They would have laughed. I mean, I'm not even joking with you. I wasn't a writer, and again, I was so average in high school, and so I enrolled in that program. They've got a weed out class that's really tough. It's spelling, it's grammar, it's all these things that I'm like, I'm not good at this, but I studied and I studied and I studied, and your grades, I think you had to make an 82 to pass. So it wasn't even like make a D or a C.
Yeah.
It's like 82 was the cutoff, and you had 4 tests, and that was it. All your grades came from those tests. And I think I took off, and you got 2 tries that semester at those. I think I didn't get an 82 on any of them the first go. And man, I was up late at night just working, studying, and I passed all those. So like that was like kind of the first time I was like, hey, you can do this thing, man. And that was what opened the door to the rest of the journalism program. And so I learned reporting and all of that stuff. Graduated Auburn in journalism. Was fortunate to get an internship with a small publishing company in Huntsville. There's a veteran outdoor writer. He's been doing it for years. He does a little bit now. He's up in age, but his name is Wayne Fears, and Wayne Fears took a chance on me, and he said, and I don't even remember how I got Wayne's number. I think it was through someone my dad knew, and they said, "Hey, I know this guy that does that." And I called Wayne up, and he said, "Well, I'll tell you what." He said he lived in Heflin, Alabama, and he said, "Well, come up and talk to me." And all I wanted to do was pick his brain. And so I said, this is a chance worth taking. And I ended up skipping classes to go see him. I drove up from Auburn up to Heflin, and man, I sat down with him. And as the conversation went, I told him, this is what I want to do. How do I get in the outdoor industry? All that. And the talk of an internship came up. It was required. So I had to intern at some kind of publishing company, a newspaper, a magazine. And he said, so, tell me about this internship. And I did. And he said, well, funny you say that. He's like, I'm working with a guy. We're launching a couple new hunting magazines, and it's this little company. So he took me on as an intern. That went great. And then he hired me straight out of college. So right out of college, I was in my dream job. I was on top of the world. And, that went on for about a year. And like a lot of small publishing companies, the business was tough, man. And that it eventually folded, and I lost my job, and I was absolutely devastated. I was like, man, I did all this to get in, and now it's pulled out from under me. But I said, okay, I want to stay in the outdoor industry. I'm willing to do whatever. And through my connections with Wayne, him going to bat for me, talking to people in the industry he knew, I got a job at the National Wild Turkey Federation. And so and that was in PR. So it wasn't in the editorial world. I was still writing, doing that. I was still in the industry. I was making connections. And I was there about a year. I moved to South Carolina, Edgefield, South Carolina, where their headquarters is. And in that time, also before I went there, got that job, I also talked to an editor here in the Birmingham area with Grandview Outdoors. It was a publishing house. They had magazines like Whitetail Journal, Predator Extreme. They had quite a few. Cabela's Outfitter Journal. It's no longer in print, but that was one they had. And I went and met with that editor, the editorial chief there, and interviewed and told him, this is what I want to do. I'm from this area. And he was a straight shooter. He said, man, you're what I want. You're ideal. He said, but I don't have anything for you right now. He said, so, just I'll be in touch when I do. So I was at the Turkey Federation about a year, and I get a call out of nowhere from Colin Moore there at Grandview. And he said, and I'll never forget what he said, because Colin's got this dry sense of humor, but he said, it's time to come home, my boy. And I thought that was just great. He said it in his Southern charm and everything. And so I accepted the job, came back home to the Birmingham area. I worked for a decade as an editor with the publishing company here. And I loved it. I traveled all over the U.S., Canada, going on hunts. And when you're an editor, companies like Moultrie or firearms companies, bow manufacturers, they'll invite you on these hunts to test new products. Yeah. That way you can go back and write about them and things like that. So I was living my dream, and that was all going well. But again, the publishing world's a tough business. And eventually the publishing unit got sold to another publishing company out of Wisconsin. And the parent company that I'd been with for 10 years was still here. But anyways, at the time, the general manager here at Pradco Hunting, which is based in Birmingham, I'd gotten to know him over time. I think he tried to hire me once when I was an editor, and it didn't work out, but we stayed in touch. he started recruiting me to come over and work for Pradco, which Moultrie folds under. It's one of the brands, Summit Tree Stands, Nightingale Calls, a lot of iconic brands are under Pradco. And so anyways, we talked, we were able to come to an agreement, and that's how I came over to Pradco. So not only was I working with Moultrie, but I was also working on Summit and others, and I was in the marketing department. So, and I had worked as an editor. I loved it. I was good at it. Kind of could do it with my eyes closed. So there's always that thing inside you if you're a competitor where you kind of want to challenge yourself, do something different, do something a little scary that you don't know if you're going to be good at. And so I did. I took the leap and I came over to Pradco, and that's been over 7 years ago now. And probably after about 2 years here. That's when Moultrie split off, and the cellular division, the Moultrie mobile division, became its own business unit inside of Pradco. So you kind of had Moultrie feeders and everything on one, and then you had Moultrie mobile. Well, since that time, and a couple of years ago, Moultrie is all back together. So feeders, cell cams, everything, it's all under the Moultrie umbrella. But I've been specifically with Moultrie, it's probably about 5 years now. And that's how I got here. That's, and so I'm still doing what I love and doing it here at Moultrie.
Yeah, that's crazy. That the whole time I'm thinking, I was like, God was opening so many doors for this man.
Oh,
that's so,
it's 100%
so
God, man. I've been blessed, and and that's what I tell young people. I had a seventh grader send me a letter or send it to our department here, and he was just asking for advice, and he wants to be in the outdoor industry, and so I took the time, wrote him back a 1.5-page letter, and I said, man, if you're willing to work hard and keep going, face your fears. If there's something you're scared of, then you should do that. I said, you'll make your dream whatever you want, and that's what I did. Just kept putting that foot forward, stepping out on faith, and God opened doors across the entire way. I'm not taking credit for anything except just sticking with it.
Yeah. Well, and it also goes to show like hard work will get you somewhere, because with the podcast, that was like my way of getting in the industry. Right. And I mean, I know actually, they're probably going to hear this, so I hope they don't take this the wrong way, but I went on a podcast a couple months ago, and it was the second episode they ever did. And so I was like, well, when is this going to drop? Because there was a couple of things that, we had talked about that, like, I didn't know if I was able to say anything about it yet, like certain things. They were like, oh, well, what are you using this year? And I'm like, well, don't know how much I can say, but that episode still hasn't dropped. And as far as I know, they're done doing it. And it's like, gotcha. I get it. I mean, I'm super busy, like that's why we had to do this at this time, because you've got your stuff going on. I wasn't able to do it later in the day. And then, tomorrow I'm going to basically be out of town. I have to drive 3 hours to one job and then 3 hours back for the next 3 days. So I have no free time at all. Right. And I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I try to hunt, and I got the podcast. Like it's a bunch of stuff. Yes. But the hard work side of things is why you see guys that go from the dream to living it,
That's right.
And that's such a wild story. So I guess with Moultrie and everything, with the like feeders and whatnot, so that all is under the Moultrie brand now. That's no longer separate.
That's right. Yeah. And and this is all marketing stuff, but yeah, like the Moultrie mobile name, that's gone away. We're back. And I like it better that way, because to the customer, even when we branched into Moultrie mobile, we were just Moultrie. Like, and we worked so hard. It's like, oh no, it's Moultrie mobile. It's that's us. Yeah. And the customer's like, yeah, Moultrie. And so it's easy. It's better just being Moultrie. I mean, Dan Moultrie, he's an awesome human. I talk to Dan all the time, and he started this business, and his story, I mean, how he worked and made this happen is an incredible story too. So yeah, man, it's been great. And to your point, it's working hard and not giving up, even though everything's telling you you should,
Hmm.
is how you event. And you got to keep doing that, because you got to be ready when those doors do open.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it kind of correlates into like how my deer season's being right now, where I've got one deer on the ground. I've had probably 25 different bucks show up on camera and everything that, I could have killed him if I was able to be there. But, there's been days. I was telling a buddy of mine the other day, it's like, dude, I'm almost ready just to call this season quits. I'm that burnt out. I was like, but the second I say that is when all of these bucks are going to come back and they're going to start daylighting, and then I'm going to want to go, So
Yep.
it basically is, you just don't stop until you really, can't do it anymore, or legally can't do it anymore. And that correlates back into the hard work stuff. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, man, I've had people on this podcast that, probably would have helped it grow quite a bit. And they were slated to come on. It was the day of it happening, and I was sitting right here, and just like I texted you, I was like, "Hey, dude, the link is sent." Sent that, never heard back from him. I'm like, okay,
Mm,
well, I got to figure it out. A lot of people, and I'm not trying to, blow my own head up here at all, but to prove the point, it's like a lot of people will be like, oh man, this is too hard. I just can't schedule people, yada yada yada. And it's like, no, dude, you just figure it out. You just keep going. If
yeah.
I have to sit here like Theo Vaughn and just talk to myself for an hour and a half, I'll do it. I have no problem doing that.
Oh
So
man, Theo,
it's
he's
it's crazy.
hilarious. Yeah, he's
Theo
crazy.
is awesome.
I,
Um,
I think to kind of cap off what we're talking about, that hard work. That's one of my favorite quotes, is luck favors the prepared.
mhm,
It's like, I've got a buddy, people, and they always say that's just my luck, but it's in the negative. Like
yeah.
it's like, yeah, negative. And I want to be like, well, I mean, have you seen how you kind of prepare?
Yeah.
Like,
Did you
you know,
scout all season, or did you put a camera up the
yeah,
week before and then, yeah.
yeah. Is it your luck, or is it your preparation? So yeah,
I feel like that's gonna make me look back on my season then, because there was very promising stuff in the summertime, and then like I told you before, everybody was gone. They were off on sabbatical, I guess. I don't know what was going on, and then now they're back. But I
that's
want to talk about some of the new things that are coming from Moultrie. So I've been running the Edge Pro 2s and the Edge 2s for the past year. Um,
yes,
awesome cameras. They've been working fantastic. But Moultrie now has the Edge 3, the Edge Solar, and the Edge 3 Pro. And I'm really curious what the new cameras have to offer. I mean, obviously the
yeah,
Solar is a solar, right? So you don't need batteries.
yeah.
But
And well, and since you mentioned the solar, so I've got one of the solars, and I got that when it was very, I mean, before they were available. Obviously, I work here, so it was to test it, right? And
mhm,
my test cameras, I've got a little squirrel hunting dog. She's a little feist. I got her kennel out back, and I always put my test cameras on this tree. It's about that, magic, like 10 yards from the camera, which is almost ideal to get really good images and stuff.
mhm,
And then there's movement, right? I know when I walk by, so if I don't appear on that camera, I know something's up.
mhm,
So it's just a good test spot. And I put that up. I mean, this is back in the summer, um, and that camera uh, stays shaded most of the day. So it probably in the summer, when all the foliage is out, there's probably only like a, man, I don't even, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 hour window. I don't even know if it's quite that long. But that solar panel, it articulates, so you can turn it, and you can, up and down as well. It tilts, and I've got that turned, so my camera's facing the dog kennel, but my solar's facing, off the back side,
mhm.
almost as far as it can go without the tree hitting it. And that camera, it's been at anywhere from 98 to 100% since I hung that thing. And that's insane. Like that, and that's purely my test camera. Like if the thing failed, I would tell you that. It's that
Yeah.
thing. I have not. touched it once, and that camera stays charged. Now that the sun's in the southern sky and there's not leaves, it gets more sunlight. I mean, that thing, it's literally, you, if you've got some sun, you can set that thing and forget it. And it comes with a one of the lithium rechargeable battery packs in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you pop that in, so you're not buying any AA batteries. Once you get that camera, it's legitimately ready to go. And you just got to make sure it's getting some sunlight, and it's been incredible. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably run some of those next year, because right now I'm running batteries, and I mean the batteries are lasting very long, but it does kind of get a little annoying. And what's funny about it is, so I've got an extra battery pack that I keep stocked with brand new batteries.
Yes.
So when one goes down, I'm like, all right, guess I'm going over there, pop it out, slide it in, go get more batteries, and just keep it going. But the solar thing, I'm trying to think of when I started using solar panels. I want to say it was a couple years ago. And it honestly, in a sense, was a game changer. So when I saw you guys come out with that, I was like, dude, that right there is solid. Because I mean, during the off season, especially from like end of January to probably May, I don't really feed the deer unless I feel like I have to. Like if we get rough weather, then I'll go put some protein stuff out to sort of help them out a bit. But you know, in Georgia, we don't really get that cold of weather. Like
That's right.
There's always food around. So I like to have a camera where I can set it up and I don't have to touch it. I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to go in there. It's less pressure. You can still see what's happening. The one thing I wanted to ask you though, and this is not a, I hope I can say this without sounding like I'm like dogging a camera or anything, but the Edge 2s, have you guys been hearing anything from anyone about when you run video on those that it spooks deer?
So so it's a weird little thing. You know, when these cameras are developed and built, they're tested and tested and tested.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then things, once they go into full manufacturing, sometimes there's things that go, and so some of those cameras do have a little bit of a clicking noise that you can hear maybe, and you hear it when when I say hear it, I mean like in the video.
Yeah.
And that's because there's an internal mic, and what that's doing is that's on the switchboard itself, right?
Okay.
And so there's some small internal sound that picks up on that microphone that's sitting right next to it. But as far as being by the camera and audibly hearing it, that's a lot less of an issue that we hear about now. We don't want any interference or noise or mechanical noise in there, even on the microphone on the video you watch. So our engineers have absolutely, they work with the manufacturers. They've deconstructed everything. They have rebuilt, redone. They have worked tirelessly on those boards to eliminate any kind of that. We don't want any of them out there that are going to do that or be perceived to be spooking deer.
Yeah.
Because it is, if you're looking at a video and you hear clicking, well, you would think, yeah, that's making a clicking noise.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of that mic being right there internally next to that stuff, where it's loud on the mic, because that mic is tuned to, it's trying to pick up noise from much further away, so it's very sensitive.
Yeah.
And it does pick up any kind of noise on that board as well.
Gotcha. I wanted to ask because I have two Edge Pro 2s out right now, that one of them's running video and one of them's not, and I've had probably 50 to 60 different deer walk past this one camera while it's taking video. Never once got any indication that they heard it, spooked, or anything.
That's right.
I did have an Edge 2 that I could send you the video. It's clear as day they're hearing something. But what's funny about it is you take it off video, they're perfectly fine. Put it on photo, right, there's nothing wrong. So I just wasn't sure if that's like something y'all had heard. I've heard, through the industry, I guess people say like, oh, cell cameras spook big bucks and blah, blah, blah. It's the frequencies. I don't know what validity there is to that, but is that something you guys test? I mean, is that like, do y'all check the frequencies on the cameras to make sure like, hey, deer can hear different frequencies than us? Is that like part of the testing process?
You know, that question there, I'm not sure how much testing is involved with like frequency and what deer hear. That's not something I've really heard a lot about. And again, I'm not trying to avoid the question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that
Mhm.
because again, I'm on the marketing side. Our engineers, those guys are in, I mean, they're soldering wires,
Yeah.
they're doing all the stuff there. I'll have to ask them that question if there's been much work on that.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you from my experience, I've been running the Moultrie cellular cameras since 2016, and I don't have is there a buck that passed through that I saw one time and I never saw again? Yeah, sure. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody gets that. But have I had bucks look at a camera? Yes, I've had that. But I've got mature bucks in areas that they're there every day, every night. That camera's going, and I mean, that deer doesn't care at all about that camera. So, um, big bucks are super wary animals. Like we all know that. But I think as hunters too, we often give them a lot more credit. Like we
I'm
we
very
we
guilty of
kind of
that.
we impose like super abilities on these
Yeah.
animals.
We humanize them a lot more than we probably should.
Yeah, and we really give them all these supernatural abilities, like they're man, I mean, they're from the time those animals are born, they are hunted, so they are
Yeah.
super wary and jumpy, and that's just natural. But um, at the end of the day, I'm shocked if there's deer that are just like, oh, I'm in another county because there's a cell cam running over
Yeah.
here. You
Well,
know?
and that's why I wanted to ask because like I've had like I was saying I've ran Moultrie for years and that's the only camera that I've ever ran on video that it's done that. And what's really funny is like that specific camera because I tested it with two other ones in the same spot to see what would happen. And I literally have probably 3 4 videos where it's the deer comes walking in and something happens. I thought at first that it was just crickets I was hearing, because you were talking about that mechanical sound that the microphone's
Hmm.
picking up. And I watched this 2 year old buck come walking in. He was feeding, and then he just like jumps and he looks right at the camera and just gone. So I was like, oh, that's not good. So I switched it to photo, right? But like an idiot, I forgot 3 months later that even happened. So I put this camera up in a different spot over a scrape. They're on video. Next thing you know, 3 of the shooter bucks come walking in, and every single time I saw them like stop in front of the camera, look at it, look away, and then jump again, and then look at the camera and just go off. Now, I'm not blaming the camera. It could have been anything. And I'm not saying that the Moultries do that because, like I said, I have multiple other cameras that have never done that. I just wasn't sure if that was like something that maybe you've heard about or testing. But I
Yeah,
just,
no, I mean, to your point, like you said, the regular two, there have been some not models, but some units where that is something that we hear and
yeah,
pick up, and that has absolutely been worked on and diagnosed and things like that. So that way, we're now into the 3 series, where they were able to learn, fix, make improvements. That's all part of it.
yeah,
It's that's been one of the interesting things working here, at a manufacturing company, and getting to talk and walk down the hall and talk with the engineers here is, when these new models come together, it's literally a Frankenstein.
yeah,
They're putting all these components in it, and then they got to sync them up and make it all work right. And man, in the testing phase, like, I mean, they're testing, the next model now. They're working on that. There are
crazy.
so many things that they have to fine tune, tweak, update, uh, swap out,
Yeah,
change to make that camera functional, reliable, not make a noise, not do all these things. I
yeah,
mean, it's mind blowing, and it takes a long time to get that that whole little system, which is doing a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
with the cellular linking and the IR flash and the video and the, man, it's in the motion detect. You're making all that work together, and when they get it right, I mean, it's like a celebration day.
That's one thing in the hunting space that I just have never really, like, I went down the bow rabbit hole so I could learn everything I needed to know about, the basics of a bow. I went down way down the arrow rabbit hole and the broadhead rabbit hole. I mean, I lived there for almost 2 years just playing and stuff. And the cell camera thing, I'm just not smart enough to understand how it works. The way I think of it is like, oh, there's a deer, took a photo, now it's going to send to my phone. Okay, cool. Don't
That's
know
it.
how, but
Well, and at the end of the day, like, most customers don't care. They
yeah,
just want that photo. They want that video, and they want it to work. They don't want to have to go out there and mess with it. And that's what our team does and works on is creating a product where the customer doesn't even have to think, like, because I mean, I'm a hunter, and at the end of the day, I don't care. I just want it to work.
yeah.
I don't want to go, a mile back into public land, hang 3 cameras, and then come out and be like, man, I'm not even getting what I came for.
I've done that. I've literally done that, and it's heartbreaking.
Yes.
So I want to ask you about the new Edge 3 and Edge 3 Pro. What is different on those cameras compared to the Edge 2 and the Edge 2 Pro?
Yeah. So some of the biggest differences right off is the on the 3 and the 3 Pro, we put in the base, I'm calling it base, but the 3 model. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We put a lot of the features that were in the Pro model that is now in the regular 3 model, and so
Okay.
that 3 sells, MSRPs at $99.99. Obviously, we're in the holiday time, there's great deals on those cameras now.
Yeah.
But so, like, and when I say that, it's like the GPS, where it automatically pins your cameras, the Bluetooth.
Love that.
Yes, I love that.
Love that.
No,
I use Moultrie only now for my wind direction. I don't look at anything else because
same here.
It's the most accurate that I have found. Because I get off work. I mean, what time we're doing this at 12:50 on a Tuesday afternoon. Most people are still at work, right?
Right.
I usually get off pretty early. So I have the time, if there's no, family stuff going on or whatever, to go out and kind of play with things, especially in the off season, because I have
Right.
really no hunting stuff going on other than cameras and feed and whatever. But I've gone out there, especially after I set all that up. I went out there the next day and was like, okay, how accurate is this? And
Yeah.
I stood in the parking lot because I hunt behind a church. It's a really small property, but I stood in that parking lot and I just pulled the app up and I checked the wind. I knew which way it was going. And I'm like, all right, what's it say? And it was dead on. And I'm like, that's what I'm
awesome.
going to use. I'm using that
Yeah.
from now on. Everything else
Well,
is saying northeast, northwest, whatever. This is saying east, and it's an east wind. So,
well, and the other cool thing that now that it's available on, like, so we've got the engineers and the folks that work on the hardware, the cameras, but we've got even more people that work on our app because, let's face it, once you put that camera on a tree, all your interactions through that app, right? So the app is where all the hunt planning takes place. That's where we start syncing all these systems together. We start giving hunters the information they need. So the cool thing, and this year I've been using it because it's now available. You can pin your tree stands now, and every time you do that, you can set your ideal wind. So what winds you need at what stand, and you plug that in and save it. And now when you go to the map view, it shows you, is it a good one? Like it's either green or red, right? It says good or bad, and it tells you the wind direction. And now when I consider myself a weekend warrior. I've got kids, job, all the stuff. So when I get a chance to go hunting, it's not like I looked days in advance. I pull that app up right before I'm going. I'm like, all right, which stands are available to me today? Because you can't go hunt the bad ones, the bad winds. So I use that. It is so awesome to use that wind feature and plug that into your stands, because not only is it taking what you were saying, checking the wind direction, because we got the full weather forecast on there, But now we're putting all that stuff into the app where you don't have to go hunt for it, where everything's right there. So you can quickly look at that map. Oh, okay, I got a good win for that stand. And now you can even hit that stand or that camera and go right to the game plan and say, all right, when is the activity going to be good? And that's the thing about the game plan that I don't think a lot of folks understand. It's the only predictive deer model that is using actual input from your camera. So recent deer movement, and it's all localized. And so when you put in either a pin or a zip code for where you're hunting, not only is it pulling in the data from your cameras, it's going to pull in the anonymous data from any Moultrie camera running in your area.
Really?
So if you've got, and that zone, varies on, but it's picking your local area.
Yeah.
And so if there are other Moultrie cameras, in your city, in your area, it's pulling in deer movement data, anonymous. Like it's not like you see someone's camera.
Yeah.
But that's all getting fed into the system anyways. And it's not only looking at your, like, say 5 cameras, it's looking at all those cameras in that area. So the more cameras in the area, the more of a data set, the more of an accuracy it has. And I'm telling you, man, like that game plan, if you want to see if it's accurate, go and look at it for today or tomorrow and see when it says peak movement's going to be. And then the next day, go back and look at your images and see when deer moved. It lines up so accurately. And that it does that before the deer move. Like, it's telling you when that's going to happen. And it uses weather parameters, wind, rain. It's feeding. So our team worked on game plan for 2 solid years before we released it. We wanted to release it, a year before it ever came out, but we're like, nope, it's not accurate enough. So our team fed it like data. And we know when the deer are moving because the cameras show us, right? So if it's saying peak movement's this, all right, well, all we got to do is wait and see, and we're going to see when the deer move. So our team fed every kind of information that's out there that says this affects deer movement. And if it didn't affect deer movement, because we know it's not in that algorithm. So it only is using the stuff that actually correlates to deer movement.
That's so wild. I'll be honest, I was using it a lot, the game plan stuff in the early season. And once these deer started disappearing and going wherever they were, I stopped looking at it because I was pretty confident it was just going to tell me, hey, just don't go. Because there's been one deer in like 3 days and it was at 2 a.m. So there's just go somewhere else. Just it didn't, but it is in a sense that accurate. Because I've looked at it and I know what's crazy is I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen what you're talking about, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't actually be like, wait a minute. It said that tomorrow it's going to do this. And then you wait a couple of days and you go back and look and you're like, it was 100% right.
It blows my mind.
Crazy. I never even realized that.
Yeah. And the other thing that's cool on that game plan is it shows like historical peak movement too. So it's like it'll show you like last year the date or a date range where you had the most movement, and then it'll show you like your secondary peak movement. It's super cool.
That's so sick. I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing it says poor time at one of my spots at 1 p.m., which typical. It says that the movement, oh wow, from 11 to 11 seems to be the. I really got to look at this more. That's
yes. You need to use at least to help plan, like like you're talking about. Like, we're all busy, right?
Yeah.
So if you can kind of like, all right, man, I know I'm going to have a little free time. Maybe I'm a little flexible with it. What's this telling me? And then you can like plan to. All right, well, if I'm going to burn some time, I'm going to burn it when the movement's going to be good.
Yeah, right. You don't want to go out there. I mean, look, I love watching squirrels. They're fun to watch, but that's not why I'm there.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so wild. So I guess my next question would be where does it go from here? I mean, people are going to make jokes like, oh, well, the cameras are getting so advanced because, I mean, let's be honest, they really are, that someone's going to come out with a camera here soon that it's just going to shoot a dart at the deer and kill it, and you just go pick the thing up.
Well,
I know that's not going to be the case, but
Moultrie's not going to do that. Well,
yeah,
I can assure you of that. No, that Moultrie's all about making useful tools that help the hunter. At the end of the day, the hunter is the it factor. They're the one that you can't replace that element. I mean, you've got to have woodsmanship. Like, I mean, you can go slap one of our cameras on any tree. That doesn't mean you're going to see deer.
Yeah.
Like you have to know where to put those cameras. Like there's no replacing that. And the hunter instinct. But all we want to do is provide tools that help you plan your hunt. Where are you going to hunt? Where's the best spot to hunt? You know, and let us help you with that. Let us like work through those equations where you just have to pull it up and say, all right, these are the spots. This is where I need to go. Like, so this year we released, this fall we released Buck List. So I don't know if you've had an opportunity to play with that much. So now you can create a list, you know, let's just call it what everyone else calls it, your shooter list, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's your up and comers, ones you're like, no, this is going to be a good deer in a year or two. I want to monitor this deer and track it over time. You can now create lists and you can tag, you can create a name for that buck. And then anytime you see that buck's image come through, all you got to do is click that tag you created for it and it'll throw it in that list. And so now you're building out a list of this buck, of his images. You can do this over years. You can do it for tracking that season. And the cool thing is not only that, like in the app, there's activity charting, which shows you when that's your look backwards, right? Game plan looks forwards, activities backwards. Well, now when you create those buck lists, those now live in activity charting. So you can go in and click that buck and see his actual, you know, historical activity. So that's where this is going, is more about, let us give you the information you need. Let us put it together in the app in an easy to consume format so you know where to go hunt. So when you want to get that buck. The other thing Buck List is working towards is, you know, identifying those bucks, you know, with the AI and all that. So one day, you know, the system will automatically tag those bucks for you. You know, that's just some of the things.
Dude, I'm gonna be very busy. Where is that on here?
Buck List?
Yeah.
Buck List is in
oh,
let's see. I gotta pull my phone up.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's literally right there next to the library.
Yes.
Oh man, you know, if that was a snake, it would have bit me.
Well, and see, and that's why I love doing podcasts and things like that, because I get to explain this. And that's where we, you know, on the marketing side of things and customer service, again, is we're working to make sure all of this is easier to find, easier to use, making sure you know it's available, because, you know, we're all guilty of it. We just hop in our app to look at images, right? And photos. But there is so much more there to formulate your hunt planning strategy. And that's where the app excels. And that's just frankly where, you know, it beats the competition. It is all of the stuff that's in there that allows you to make better, more informed decisions.
Dude, that is so crazy. I just did it with this deer my daughter named Alfred. And it's like, I mean, there's a couple that's not him, but most of this is all him. And it's kind of depressing because it's all nighttime photos. But but you know, he could change that. Dude, that's so cool. I'm gonna add every single buck that I've seen over the past month and throw them in there.
It's cool, man. And you know, like those kind of things, like you creating buck lists, that's also helping train the system to be more accurate in the future at identifying individual bucks and things like that. So it's really cool.
I should have seen this coming, because I remember back when I was using the XA6000, it had the whole like mature buck, young buck, doe option, right?
Yeah. And all that's still in there.
Yeah. And like I remember this summer looking at, because, you know, I had one deer that he was a clean 12 point, like 10-point mainframe with 2 kickers on the G2s.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, he wasn't huge. He's probably, I mean, he has to be 3 because I actually had him in front of me last year and he was just a clean 10. But he's smart because he stayed back. He never showed up on the camera that day, but he was there at like 25 yards and stayed in the brush with the. I saw the vitals, but the hole was about that big.
Yeah.
And I like to think I'm a good shot, but I'm no Levi Morgan, right?
No,
Especially with the deer
I
in
hear.
front of me.
Yes.
So I used the tagging thing, or I guess the tagging feature in there, and I just kind of swiped up and it said mature buck, and I'm like, okay, so he's got to be at least 3 based off what I know, and then based off what the algorithm's showing too. Because I'd go to another
Yes.
buck and it would be like a 2.5-year-old basket rack 8 point, and it would say young buck. So
Yep.
I saw that and I'm like, dude, I wonder what they could do with this. And now buck list, it's basically that, except upgraded, and you can make a whole list of it. That is
That
so freaking cool.
that's right. Yeah, that way you can track those individual animals
Yeah.
along the way. As hunters, we all love to nerd out on this stuff and sit there and be the mad scientist and
Yep.
and all that. But
Yep.
that's what the Moultrie system is designed for, is to do all of that for you. So that you just have to look, where do I want to go? Where do I need to hunt? Is the wind, and it's quickly, again, it's easily consumable. It's not some tough equation. And, for the suburban hunter, it doesn't matter as much, but another feature we added in there is our deer survey. So, that's for more of the guys that are managing deer.
Yeah.
So like on the place I hunt, we're a 750 acre place. We've got, number of multiple guys that are in on it, a lease, and we've got some owned land, and we manage the deer herd. So we work with our state biologist. We plant food plots. We do all the things to better the herd. And so, I use the deer survey this year, probably starting October 1st for us. So I did a 2-week survey, and at the end of that gave me my buck to doe ratios. That told me
Wow.
my fawn recruitment. I was able to input individual bucks that I counted. So I get all that deer survey data that used to be an extremely manual, expensive process to do. And you had to count every image, every single image. Just talk to deer biologists that do them. They'll tell you it is a tremendous amount of manual work. We have developed that so the system does that for you.
That's so wild, dude. I've always wondered what like the buck to doe, and granted, my biggest spot is 7 acres that butts up to about 1,500.
Yeah,
So,
it's
it's
like
pretty big.
like in that situation, that's tough. Like,
Yeah.
so you've got to have an area, and you've got to have cameras, placed evenly throughout, to make sure you're capturing all those deer.
I mean, I can try to do a deer survey on 7 acres, but I don't know how well that would turn out.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get whatever comes through.
You'd be like, all right, you saw this buck yesterday. Well, guess what? He came up today. Oh, there's one new one. So your buck to doe ratio is pretty skewed. And it's like, dude, there's maybe 20 deer that run through that property every day.
That's
So,
right. That's
That's
right.
wild, man. Well, look, I don't want to hold you too long, but I do have to ask you before we wrap this up. That buck behind, actually, you got 2 bucks behind you that I keep on getting distracted by. What's the story on the top right and the top left bucks?
All right, so I guess I'll bring these over. So this one is, I actually went to Texas this year, and so this is my Texas buck, man, and it was awesome, and it was again, it was just so cool to be able to hunt a place that has animals on it like this, and
Yeah.
it was a place that's highly managed, but when you're out there hunting, it's just you and the stand. So you're watching animals, picking out. So this was a treat. I can't take credit for building the ground or any of that. It was just a treat to be able to hunt a place and I saw animals bigger than this after I shot this too. But to be on a property that's managed so intensely, and he's got some really cool kickers off the. Yeah, man, just really neat stuff.
Dude, look at the burrs on that thing too.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to turn. Yeah, look at that brow tine. They sweep back. So man, I was tickled with this deer.
And that's a whitetail?
That's a whitetail.
Dude, he's got some muley characteristics to him.
Oh yeah, man. That's what's neat. They got those. Yeah, his twos both split.
That almost looks like Lee's upside down buck.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're
wild,
right,
man.
So that's
what did he score? Did you get him scored?
That deer I did, because the guy that manages the property, he wanted he tracks that, and so that one was right at like 150 and 5/8.
My goodness.
That, I mean, he's my best buck. I mean,
stud.
Yeah, he's now this buck. Hey, look at the mass on this sucker.
Oh my Lord!
This is an Alabama buck, and look at these tines.
Oh my gosh! Look, I don't care what anyone says. Alabama's got some studs. I know BJ's got that one. What was it? 199. Right. Michael Perry's got a 199 or whatever it is. There's some giants over there.
And I'll send you some photos, because maybe you can work them into the podcast.
Yeah.
I did not kill this deer. I found this deer in early October dead in a creek.
Oh, wow.
And the buzzards were eating on it. And I was squirrel hunting with my little squirrel dog. And our archery season doesn't even come in till the 15th. So this was around early October. We started kicking up buzzards in this drainage. And I look, and eventually I get down there and I see there's a deer that's been eaten on laying in the creek. And then I get down there and I'm like, holy smokes. Like, dude. I couldn't believe, the animal. So it was pretty rank and disgusting, but I couldn't leave such a creature. Like, he had to be displayed. So I don't tell anyone I killed this deer, but man, he should be displayed.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure.
That's the way I look at it.
Dude, that's such a cool deer. Yeah, I've seen one deer. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was on the way to PCB, probably 4 or 5 years ago. Actually, it might have been right when me and my wife got married. I'd actually have to look back and check. But I stopped at a gas station in Eufaula that has gators. And it's closed down now from what I understand, but it had this deer in there that was killed not far from there. I talked to the people at the front desk. I was like, yo, what is the story on that buck? Because he was just massive. I mean, non-typical. My guess would have been in the at least mid 230s.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they said that they don't know the full story. They just know it was killed around there. And that was kind of the proof, aside from everything else, that Alabama can produce some giants, man. I mean,
and that area down there, Eufaula and across that midsection that, for folks in the South, and here it's known as the Black Belt region.
Yeah.
It over time has produced some very big deer. And then there's parts of, as you start going into West Alabama, Northeast Alabama, you don't have the deer density, but there are some giant bucks up there, man. And just big bodies and everything. Yeah. I mean, Alabama is coming around. It used to be you could shoot a buck a day, and man, all the little forkies and everything got shot, and it was tough. But Alabama is come a long way, and there are some really good deer here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a trip over there. My wife's gonna kill me because I'm going to Wisconsin next year for a week. Then I'm going to Colorado on a mule deer hunt the year after that for a week.
Oh wow!
And I've been wanting to go to Alabama because I'm only, like I said, 2.5 hours from Birmingham.
Yep.
So it'd be nothing to just make a drive one Friday afternoon or morning, just take a day off and come hunt out there for a weekend.
There's some great public land here as well. I actually this buck I took this deer last year. I hadn't hunted this particular local public ground in like 17 years.
Yeah.
And the day after Christmas, I was able to take this guy out there last year.
Such a cool
deer. Yeah, he's just cool. I mean, he doesn't have near the mass as those others, but man, just a mature
buck. Yeah.
Oh, this is a great buck. Man, I was so excited to get this.
I would literally freak out to shoot any bucks like that. I mean, that because the one back here, that's the biggest deer that I've killed. Now, it's not the biggest deer I've hunted, but it's the biggest deer I've killed.
Sure.
And it has been, it's been an uphill battle. I mean, the buck I killed, let me think, last month. I mean, dude, that was the first spike I ever shot. And I was just standing or sitting in the stand and I'm like, Lord, just, we got good deer here. I was like, it's been 3 years because I chased this one deer for 2 years and saw him twice. The heartbreaking story. On the last time I saw him, long story short, I had my bow on the ground twice, if that tells you anything, because it was getting dark and it just didn't work out. So I wasted, not really wasted, but I spent 2 years chasing this one deer. So this is the first year I haven't really had one specific buck pinned down. And then all the deer I had on one property were gone. So I'm hunting this one spot that I've killed most of my deer at. And I think there was let me think, there was one or three different bucks I would shoot. And I would have shot any of them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the stand November 1st, and I'm like doing all the rut stuff. I'm not seeing anything. Then a spike comes up, this tiny little, 1-inch spiker comes up behind me, sees me, I guess, because the wind was not going towards him. He goes running down. And then so I'm like, Lord, if you just send anything, any spike or the biggest buck on the property, I don't care. It's like, I'm not going to be stingy. Next deer you send, I'm shooting. And so I did a doe and estrus call, hit the grunt to him, just brat, brat, brat. And this, like, he's upstairs. I should have brought him down here. My daughter doesn't know what she wants to do with him yet. But this spike comes running up out of the drainage, comes right into the field. And I'm like, okay, just drew back and sent it. And I'm like, look, man, I shook as much about that deer as I did this one.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, it's just the name of the game. And I have a video on my Moultrie camera of that buck coming running in, and you can see me in the stand to grab my bow. So it's like everything was just captured, and it was just one of those hunts, man. So
that's
I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I think I just felt like telling you about it.
Well, no, it's just it's why we all hunt. Like, like I don't think I would be like you're talking about Seek One and Lee, and that, like, I mean, the dedication Lee puts into stuff is just mind boggling. And like, I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I just can't. I get bored. I get burnt out. I just like to be out there, be hunting. I like to know what animals are out there. I like to know there's some good deer on the landscape, and that's enough for me, And well, I'm big into the management side, so I shoot a lot of does. We eat a lot of venison. I donate venison. So, man, it's being out there and hunting. Like, I don't have. In fact, in Alabama, I probably average a buck maybe every 3 years. Like, I don't shoot a buck in Alabama every year.
I mean, if I look back at my seasons, I probably averaged 2 deer a year. If that, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's none. I mean, it just happens that way. And then, like you were saying, the dedication that like Lee and them put into it. It's like, dude, as much as I'd want to do that, I know how my wife is.
Oh, no.
Ain't no way.
No, brother.
Lee's wife, Adrian, has got to have some of the most patience that I've ever seen, because that dude's going all the time. And I'm like,
I'll tell you a funny story on that. I was talking to Lee, I think this was last year when he was engaged. I was telling him congratulations, and he's like, I knew she was the one because I've been with her through 3 ruts now, and she's still here. And he's like, I knew she was the one, and I was like, you're right, Lee, because I don't know any girl that would put up with it.
Right? Yeah, my wife, and God bless her, man, honestly, because I do talk about this stuff with her a lot. It's actually why I started the podcast, is to not talk her head off of it. But there's still times where she's like, you go and hunt so much, and I always pull that little rabbit out of the bag, and I'm like, listen, we watch Seek One. You see how much Lee travels. I go once, maybe twice a week for a couple hours. I'm not gone for 3 weeks at a time, and it never works. One day it will. It never works, but yeah, man, I don't know. I will say this. I'm very thankful that Moultrie decided to want to work with the podcast. You guys I don't really think it's kind of like some of the other brands that, you know, I have as partners and stuff that I've looked at for years and years. I'm like, dude, it'd be so cool to work with those guys, right? And
Yeah,
having y'all be my first cell camera that I ever bought, and now I get to work with y'all. It's a blessing. I'm
that's
so
cool.
thankful for it. And I mean, the product speaks for itself, honestly. It so good, such clear photos. I love that the HD thumbnails are in there now. I don't have to be all, you know, send me an HD photo and wait 3 hours for it. Um, I'm excited to see what comes next. I mean, the only thing I can think
Absolutely.
of is a 360-degree camera, and I don't know how you put that on a tree. So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you guys figure that out, let me know.
yeah. Well, hey, don't just buckle up, man. It'll be awesome.
Can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. Oh man. Well, Mark, look, thank you for coming on the podcast, man. I learned a lot. Um, I will be honest, I'm probably gonna blame you when I'm upstairs fiddling on my phone, putting all these different bucks into a category. So if you get an
Yeah,
email from someone named Jessica, just ignore it.
yeah, right.
You're
Don't tell
fine.
your wife.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So Mark told me I can do this. No, man, all joking
Fair enough.
aside,
If it takes the heat off you, I'll take it, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Seriously, man, all joking aside, you guys make a phenomenal product and it's backed by really good people. And like I said, I'm very thankful y'all are part of the podcast team. Um, just thank you. I mean, seriously, thank you.
yeah, man. No, thank you. We appreciate it. We love working with great folks who love to hunt and just good folks, man. So we really appreciate it as well. And man, I can't thank you enough for having us on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do another one. There's still
Let's
plenty of
do it.
stories and all that stuff of those deer behind you, and I'm sure there's other deer. I want to hear about it. So we will definitely set up another one. But guys, for those listening, go get a Moultrie. The new Edge 3 is out. I think the Edge Pro is dropping soon, correct?
It is available
It's
now.
available. Okay,
Edge
go get
3
the Edge 3
Pro
Pro.
just became available. It's ready.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait to run those next year. So excited. But everybody go get one and go take advantage of the deals. If you got a special someone that you want to get him a camera, or maybe you just want to spoil yourself, they're running deals. So now's the time. Now's the time. And they won't be disappointed. I know that for sure. But Mark, seriously, thank you, man. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And I guess till next time, dude.
Thank you.